Welcome everybody to our call today. My name is Jennifer Scheich and I'm the editor of Farm Journal Support. And I'm really excited today to be able to hopefully help you guys get inspired. I'm looking forward to be inspired about how we can make our presence online have a little more Insta-Pop, so to speak. And so we've got three people that I greatly admire for what they've been able to do on social media, for the brand that they've been able to develop. And honestly, I just really appreciate all that you do for young people. I have three kids who show livestock, and it's been an important part of my life. And so being able to see kind of how you guys just make it so much fun. Like, I wish that I could be a kid these days because there's just so much energy. And I feel like you are all three leaders in that area of helping build that momentum. I don't know about you guys, but I remember a day when maybe showing livestock was, just hard for people to really understand and connect with. And I think social media is one way that we've been able to really just show how much fun it is, and to be able to get it out there and talk about it and present it in a way that's very appealing. Kudos to you guys for that. For those of you who are new, before we get started, I just want to welcome you to our monthly Livestock Publications Council Coffee and Collaboration. This is just a chance for us to be able to share ideas, to learn from others, and to have fun, and to stay connected throughout the year. If you guys have not yet already muted yourself, please mute yourself when you're watching today, just to avoid the background dings like you might be hearing from my computer, sorry. And if you have any questions, open up the chat, and then we'll just look for those questions there. And at the very end, when our speakers are done, we'll bring those questions out for them. And if you have anything you want to add, even just from ideas or tips, feel free to add that in the chat too. We want it to be a conversation for everybody. Okay, so with that, a big thanks to Novel Designs for sponsoring Coffee and Collaboration. We will be sharing this as a video later on social media for those who weren't able to attend. So I'm going to do quick introductions of all of our speakers. I don't always do that, so I apologize for taking up a little more time, but I thought it's important for those of you who may not know our guests today to understand a little bit about what they do if you're not familiar with their brands. Luke Bolin, first up, is the creative director for Sullivan Supply and Sullivan Farms, and he was responsible for leading the charge in creating the Pulse, powered by Sullivan Supply, which has risen to be one of the leading sources for online daily stock show industry news. I don't know about the rest of you, but my husband has an addiction to the Pulse. And so I always joke around about, well, I guess there's worse things that he could be looking at all day, but I know that it's a very popular source of information and has been a great service to our industry. But over the years, his role has evolved to also include graphic design, social media management, photography, and much more. He is now charged with not only Sullivan Supply and Sullivan Farms creative direction, but he's also looking for ways to help customers experience and enjoy the Sullivan brand as well. So thanks for joining us today, Luke. Next up, I'm going to introduce Nathan Day. He is the marketing manager for Sunglo Feeds and has worked for Cargill in that capacity for almost 3 years now. He grew up showing and raising competitive show livestock, and he offers a lifetime of experience around the show ring, which I think is what makes him so good at what he does and how he's able to connect with their customers. He and his uncle own 20 show pig sows as well, and they've had success at every level of competition across the country. And he and his wife, Renee, and their son, Henry, reside in Boxley, Indiana. Thanks for joining us, Nathan. And finally, we have Lisa Reid. She is the owner and editor of the Showtimes Inc., along with her brother, Brian, and sister, Lori. Since 2007, she has dedicated her life to marketing, graphic design, and developing new ways to promote and cover the livestock industry. The Showtimes has been voted as the best livestock publication and most innovative graphic designers, both in print and online, for the past 7 years. And welcome, Lisa. I know all three of you guys also are huge supporters of youth livestock shows. And during this crazy pandemic year that we've had, your brands were visible in supporting them with awards and recognition and support. So thanks for that too. With that, I'll turn it over to Luke, and thank you all for joining us.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try to figure out how to share my screen. There we go. Perfect. Well, I just want to start by thanking everybody, LPC, everybody, Jennifer, Angie. It's an honor to be included in this deal. So what I have today, just to dive right in, is just tips to create high impact social. And I'm going to emphasize the word tip there because I feel like social media is such a big world that we're always swimming in, and we're all trying to figure it out and navigate through. And these are just my tips, the things that I've discovered that work and what don't work over the years. So again, take it as you will, but just wanted to pass along some knowledge I have. So there's 4 main areas I wanted to talk about today. And it's determining the purpose for why we even do social media, getting a plan together, creating the content, actually creating the content, and then measuring the impact that you're making on your followers. And so the first thing I would say is that social media is difficult. It's hard to understand. So why are we doing it? And I think that before you can really create impactful content, you have to ask yourself, what's the big picture goal that you're trying to achieve with your social media? Is it to drive business, get likes, followers, create a connection? And a lot of times it's a lot of those things. But like at Sullivan Supply, so we are a wholesale and a retail company. So ultimately, our goal is to increase revenue. But with our social media, we try to use our big picture goal to create a connection between our customers and our company. So we want to share our company values with our customers so that they can create a connection and hopefully purchase our products. So I think that once you have that big picture goal, then you can start setting intentions for individual posts and what you want to do with your social media. And so that kind of leads into developing a plan. And these are just a couple of tips that I have for helping develop a plan for social media. Try to create a variety of content that has wide appeal. So at Sullivan Supply, our demographic pool is huge. So we are everything from the beginning 4-H'er to the professional fitter, grandparents, parents at home, a huge demographic range for us. And so we want to create content that everyone can relate to. And I think a great way to do that is with a wide variety of content. So we'll post inspirational photos and cool quotes, but we'll also try to throw polls and interaction and different things in there just to get people coming back to our page and connecting to our page. The second thing would be to always create for interaction. So social media is so different from everything else every other media, traditional media, in that the second you post online, you start an instant communication channel with your followers. And so, the likes and the shares, tags, retweets, all that stuff, you should always be working, when you're creating the plan, always work to inspire that interaction because those likes and shares are what we want, and it's what helps get us reach and helps us reach our customers. And so, how do you do that? Some things that have worked for us, we do the contests and the like and share and tag and everything, and that's awesome. But for us, what I think is the biggest bang for your buck and the thing that always, the best way to get that interaction is just to provoke emotion. And you want to make your audience feel something in just about as much as possible. And it can be, happy, hopeful, reminiscent, even sad if it's the right kind of sad. But you want to create a connection. And I think, it's proven that people make consumers make those final purchasing decisions based on emotion. If I'm going to buy a new computer, I'm going to go with the company that makes me feel good about the purchase. And so social media is an awesome place to start that. And you can create an emotional connection with your audience like we've never been able to before. And these are just a couple of examples on this slide of some posts that we've made that have had really good traction. The little boy with his steer, it's a very, very old post, but it's one that I thought was the kind of sad. Everybody can relate to when they sent their first steer off to the processing plant. But we got good traction on all those just by trying to provoke as much emotion as possible. So once you have developed a purpose and you've got a plan together, I think that is when we start creating the content. And for us at Sullivan Supply, it's always been about great content first. before we can talk about visuals and before we can talk about pulling people into our content, we've got to have great content first. So we spend a lot of time developing the interviews and the videos and the things, the real meat to the posts before we kind of work our way back into individual graphics and visuals for our site. But when we start talking about those visuals, for me, when I design anything, I start with a photo. And I know it's different for everyone, but I see a cool photo that I like, or a cool photo I want to take, and I start from there, and then I work backwards into designing things. So I'll see a cool photo like the pavilion at Iowa State Fair, and my mind will automatically start spinning, and then I'll work that back into pulling in brand elements and different graphic elements in to create a post. And so you just heard me say brand elements, and it's all about building the brand, and social media is awesome to do that with. We all know what brand standards are, right? And we can develop, it's important to develop and then follow those brand standards so that anytime anyone sees any piece of marketing material from your company, they can automatically connect it to your company. And so on this slide, you can see there's 4 examples at the top of social media posts that we've done over the last year. And you can see below that how they have can immediately connect to a print ad or a trailer wrap or a banner or anything that we've done. So that being said, I think that there's definitely times where deviating from your brand standards can add to the experience. The orange banner at the bottom, that's not our Sullivan Supply color, but it helps when we go to the Oklahoma Youth Expo. If our banner's orange, it helps create that connection with our customers, and we got really good feedback on it. I think a few of them got stolen, but that'll happen. And the last tip I have in far as content creation is just series of posts. I love creating series of posts for our social media. And you can see I've got a couple of slides with some examples. But what I love about them is it keeps your viewers coming back to your page consistently. So you see the one at the top, we did a shout out to frontline workers during the pandemic. We encourage people to submit, nominate people, and then they knew that to look at our page over the next month or year it turned into to see the frontline workers highlighted. The Women's Day post that we did to highlight just a few of the awesome women in our industry. It was, we wanted to try a new technique to pull people back to our page multiple times throughout one day. And so that's what we tried with that post. The next one is just, really strong graphic elements that are part of these 2 posts, one for the Christmas specials and one to promote Pulse coverage at the Cattlemen's Congress, and again, you can see how photos led to graphics in those situations, but I'm a sucker for a good series of posts. So we do that quite a bit. But once you've done all of that, then you can focus on measuring impact. And for me, that's probably the most daunting task of all of them, just because me and numbers don't really mix. But I think my tip for any kind of analytics or measuring what you're doing on social media is just figuring out what works for your company. Is it page likes, page shares, video views, website click-throughs, whatever it might be. Figure out what is working for your company and what your company needs. And then you can go through and see how the content that you're creating is impacting that stuff. And I think then it's about being open-minded to know that you can adjust your content, you can adjust your plan to meet a goal that you didn't meet, or once you've met a goal to make a new one. And so the impact thing, it can be kind of overwhelming just to get and dive into those analytics, but I think it's important to know just what's working, what's not working. And so, just to leave you guys with what I started with, just that social media is really a big ocean that we're all trying to navigate. And I think it's important to always remember to ask for help, think outside the box. Things like this are awesome because there's things that I Google 3 times a week, how to do something on social media. So to be able to get tips from people in our industry is awesome. So thank you guys for that. But yeah, that's all I got. See if I can figure out how to stop sharing.
Thanks, Luke. That's great.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, be thinking of your questions, everyone, and feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll move on to Nathan.
All right, let me share mine here. Kind of hate that I have to go after that. That was pretty dang good. That was like crash course on the whole deal. So that was excellent. Hang on one second. Okay, so I will fully admit that mine is quite a bit more simple and a little more I guess than some of Luke's, and because Luke's was excellent, so I appreciate his. Some of what I really wanted to talk about was more maybe around our strategy specifically and kind of how we do things, maybe just a little bit differently. I'm trying to get to the next slide here. There we go. So how we do things maybe just a little bit differently at Sunglo. So Sunglo, for those that may not know, is a show feed brand that's actually owned by Cargill. So Cargill would be one of the largest private companies in the world, and Sunglo is a brand of Cargill. So we sell a premium show feed that's in pigs, sheep, cattle, and goats. Our main focus is on the pig and the cattle side of things. And so social media for us is something that is incredibly important. I think in the show space as a whole, social media can be a tremendous tool, but it can also be a burden if your strategy isn't fairly clear. It can just basically create more clutter on social media. And I think all of us on this call would agree that the less clutter on social media, the better. So for us, just kind of some tips on what we've done is, we picked a strategy and we've semi stuck to it, which was really tough for me because I'll be honest with you, I am plenty ADD, and it's hard for me to just focus on only one strategy. But really what we've done is basically pick out two main focuses on social media. So we have focused more on education and focused more on making it personal, a personalized type of a feel for our customers. So when you go and you search a lot of show feed companies or other show feed companies on social media, they focus really hard on just winning or just promoting winners, which is obviously important, and we want to give the kind of recognition that our customers and consumers deserve, and we do a fair share of that. However, in my opinion, there is more to showing livestock than just winning. While it is obviously important, we want to make sure that we're highlighting some of the other parts of it as well. So to me, really, when we can focus on two things, and we can focus on educating our consumers, which to me, when you educate on social media, that leads to creating interaction and leads to more engagement from those consumers than if you just post, a hard sell of a product. You just, which we will make some posts like that as well. But we've noticed that when we focus more on the educational piece and actually teaching them how to use the products, or making sure that they feel comfortable, our customers feel comfortable coming to us to have their questions answered or to learn more about our products, that to me is really how social media can be incredibly impactful. And so I know kind of the focus here is on Instagram, but we have really had tremendous success with doing some cross posting. We'll often use our Instagram page to promote something that we're doing on Facebook. So let's say we're going to do a Facebook Live where we've got we have a topic picked out. We have a couple guests that are joining us, and maybe one other Sunglo team member as well. And we'll go for about an hour and a half on Facebook Live. So often we'll use Instagram to kind of cross promote and pull people into our Facebook Lives that we're going to have. And those Facebook Lives have really been a game changer for us, especially this last year. We've not been allowed to travel with Cargill. They've been very, very strict when it comes to that. And so we had to come up with a different way or another way to interact with our customers, and doing those Facebook Lives really have been a game changer for us. And then we've also taken that content that we've created and then basically cut it down and edited it down to little tidbits with little tips that are coming from our different guests, and then reposting those on our YouTube channel as well. So it's kind of been a more holistic approach, and that's not really the way that we jumped into it, thinking that that's the way we would go, but that's kind of what it's turned into, and it's been really great. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to use social media to reach your customer in a different way and think outside the box, as opposed to just using it to try to sell. Because I think consumers are sold products so often in their face on a daily basis, nonstop, that it can be kind of a fresh way to learn about a company when they're engaging and educating with you. I know that I personally watch a lot of this is kind of embarrassing, but like backyard barbecue type tip videos, and like all these different guys that have all these different seasonings or grills or things that they promote, and I will watch their videos if they're showing me how to use their product. I don't want to watch it if it's just like, hey, look at our new seasoning or our new grill. But if you're showing me how to do it, I'm actually going to watch. So I know that as myself as a consumer, that's pretty important. So so we've really focused on the education portion, but we've also focused on making it really personal. Cargill is a huge company, and Sunglo is a microscopic dot within the Sunglo or within the Cargill brand, but we want to make sure that our customers feel like we can be an approachable team when they run into us at a show, when they see us out at a dealer, whatever. And by using social media as a tool to help make us hopefully not just come across as more approachable, but actually have folks realize that we're just human too, and we're not some special team of people just because we sell show feed. I think for some reason sometimes show feed reps can get put on this really kind of weird pedestal in a way that I do not like. And so I want people to understand that we can be an approachable team because they've seen us on social media. And I feel like the more active and out there on social media you are, the more likely people are to come up to you and recognize that, hey, you're not, and I'm really intimidating at 5'7", $160. I'm a very intimidating human being. But when people realize that you're just a normal person that has a job within this industry, they're more likely to be able to come up to you and interact. And so I think we would kind of help build relationships through social media also. And so again, don't be afraid to use it for engagement, but also education, and also basically making your brand more personalized. I think people really can take to that. And I'll be honest, we don't have a perfect theme for all of our posts. We don't strive for just the hard sell. We just want to connect with our customer and basically go about using social media a little bit differently than some of our other brands. So I just wanted to share a couple examples of our posts. And to Luke's point, when you use emotion and you help kind of garner those feelings of whether it's love, fear, shame, whatever, all those emotions, we can be really positive in the way that we share our social media pages, especially with us. We want to make sure that there's so much negativity often that can be surrounded by animal agriculture, that if we can be kind of a light there and kind of recognize and highlight some of the folks that are doing it the right way and at a high level, I think that's always a good thing. So we've got really good engagement on posts that show kind of our bigger than the banner theme that we ran with for a little while, and are still doing in some ways, but just recognizing that, hey, it's more than just winning when it comes to social media. And another post there is an educational post, again, short video, couple minutes, just giving some tips and tricks. And then I know one of the questions was, how do you go about designing? I will be the first to admit, and Lisa, who does a lot of our design work, will admit that I am not a designer. I will never claim to be a graphic designer, but we do use Canva for some things that Lisa doesn't do, that Showtimes doesn't do. And that's been a really great tool for us as well. So really kind of for me, the bottom line for all of this is, social media can be, seem like a really big hill to climb and can be really scary. But one thing I tell our dealers, because I work a lot with our dealers and help answer their social media questions as well, is, they're so afraid to get started that they overanalyze, and then they begin to become paralyzed with just the fear of what should we do on social media. So for me, the bottom line is focus on progress. Don't focus on making it perfect. Really, I think folks understand that we're all just trying to do our best here. And at the same time, I think there can also be a fine line of over posting. Again, there's so much clutter out there that you really just need to play around and find the fine line of, how much should I post? How much shouldn't I post? Okay, that didn't work. That's okay. Let's just move on. So again, there's so much out there that you're all worried about what you posted. Well, it's so far gone down that person's timeline that they'll probably never even hardly see it again. So just move on and learn from it. But again, focus on progress. Don't focus on perfection. And those are kind of my spiel.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Lisa, it's all yours.
So let me get my cut, guys. I'm coming. Okay, is that showing up for everybody?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. First off, before I get started here, as Jennifer mentioned, my name's Lisa Reid, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm the owner of the Showtimes along with my family. And thank you to both Jennifer and Angie for putting this together. And I was so excited to come and join both Nathan and Luke this morning. We deal with them throughout the whole entire year. And we had fun. This is something different, so I hope you guys all enjoy.
Marketing is everything. You can have the best donut in the world, and if you don't market that donut correctly, it's just another donut. Instagram is such a powerful platform to use, whether it's on a personal level for your company, for a product. Instagram is great. The Showtimes, we're so honored to have the #1 online source for the livestock industry with over 52,000 followers on our Instagram page. With that being said, what I want to cover for you guys today are 3 key points on how to make your Instagram post pop. The first one, be sure you're taking down some notes, but the first one is passion. Second one is timing. And the third one is uniqueness. There's also a subcategory in that whole uniqueness deal with branding. They kind of tie hand in hand. So anywho, let's dive right on in. With passion, you need to know your demographic. You need to know your audience and market towards that audience. With the Showtimes, we're mainly inside of the livestock industry. So our posts, they're targeted towards the livestock industry. Their passion are cattle, their passion are youth and education. So whenever we're doing a post, we make sure we have them in mind. The same thing holds true if you're into sports, if you're into food, if you're into fashion. If you are into sports and you're into baseball particularly, and you go and you just put up a bunch of hot dog posts and food posts and donut posts and spaghetti posts, it doesn't hit your target market. So every single thing you put online, you need to make sure you hit their passions, because what that does, it gets you likes, it gets you shares, and the more shares you have, the more exposure you get for whatever it is you're trying to market. And Instagram's so great because you can do this with graphics, you can do this with photos, you can do this with live videos, you can do this with edited videos. But just make sure no matter what you do, keep that passion in mind, because the heart is the most powerful thing you can have going for you. So passion, passion, passion when you're making your Instagram post. The second is timing. And there's a couple, timing goes through timing in a day, timing in a year. You need to make sure that your Instagram posts are put up when, back to your target audience, is looking at Instagram. An example of this is our Showtimes magazine. When we put it online, if we put it online when people are actively going through their social media feed, we're going to get a lot more views on our online issue, which benefits our advertisers, than if we put our magazine up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because the worst thing about social media, the worst thing about online, is once you see something, it's gone. It's very, very hard to get back unless somebody is specifically out looking for it, and even then it's sometimes hard. So you want to make sure that the timing of your post is great. And Instagram has some really powerful tools as far as scheduling posts. So even if you aren't in front of your computer when you know your post needs to go up, you can go ahead and schedule that ahead of time. Outside of just the timing in a day, the timing in a year. Back to fashion, if you're into a clothing brand and you're coming out with your summer clothes, your summer line, and you go ahead and you market that in December, I don't think you're going to sell a lot of stuff unless somebody's going to Cancun randomly. So you want to make sure timing, just like Pat, I'm doing everything in threes today. You want to make sure the timing of your post is spot on to get the most exposure, because part of the whole Instagram standing out online, if people don't see it, I guarantee you it is not going to stand out. The third thing, uniqueness. Uniqueness is so important. And let me give you an example to this. If you are driving down the road and you're in a neighborhood and house after house after house is a white house, when all of a sudden there's a pink house, which house do you notice driving down that road? You notice the pink house. You need to be the pink house when you're doing your Instagram post. If everybody online is doing one thing, because everybody knows there's trends, there's fads, you want to do the complete opposite, because being unique, being yourself, being different is what's going to make you stand out. Nobody wants to be like everybody else in life, and when you're like everybody else, you're not remembered. You want to make sure no matter what it is you're putting online, you want to be remembered. So uniqueness goes with this. This can be from a design element. If everybody's using blue, you can use yellow. It can be from a graphic standpoint. If everybody's doing a certain style, do the other style. It's so easy to fall in and see what somebody else is doing. And you know what? Other people's posts could be really good, but if you go and you do the exact same thing, the exact same style, what it's going to do is it's going to water down both of your branding, and you definitely don't want that. So be unique in your post. And now my subcategory with the uniqueness is the branding. Branding is so important when it comes from a company, even from you as a person. It goes with your reputation on stuff. So you want to brand yourself when you're putting your Instagram post up. You want to make sure you know who's watching it and everything ties in hand. You can tell with the whole target market and whatnot. But with the Showtimes, we're mainly in the livestock industry. Our posts are very agricultural influenced and tailored towards people. People like cattle, we put up posts with cattle in it. People like different things going on shows. So when you put those things in it, it's branding towards our company. Same thing with my panel members today with Sunglo and Sullivan. Sunglo, they tailor their posts towards their feeds, towards the show, towards cattle, hogs, sheep, goats. They don't go out and market towards athletes, because that's not what their company is trying to get across. Same thing with Sullivan Supply. They have the Pulse. They have their supply company. They don't talk about European vacation packages because they want to tailor it towards their market. So branding is everything, whether this can be done in your content, this can be done in your coloring, this can be done in your style. You want to make sure that you stay true to yourself. Even if somebody else is doing something cool, you need to stay true to yourself and your branding, because people are going to start recognizing that when they come across. And all of a sudden that helps your post stand out as well, because automatically, hey, that's a Showtimes post. Hey, that's a Sunglo post. Hey, that's a Sullivan Supply post. And then what's really cool are those three key points I gave you: the passion, the timing, the uniqueness. It helps your branding pop so much more when it comes to online, because it all ties in together. So hopefully you guys picked up some key pointers from this. But one thing I want to leave you with is a quote from Kenny Rogers. And his is geared towards the music industry, but this works no matter what industry you're in. So it says, there's only two ways to compete in the business. You can do what everyone else is doing and do it better, or you can do something that no one else is doing and don't invite comparison. So hopefully you guys take down my notes, follow what I told you today, and don't invite comparison, and just see where that can take you online.
So hope you guys all enjoyed. We had fun with it.
Oh, that was great. Thank you so much. I'm going to interject and give everybody time to think about their questions. And I want to introduce our executive director, Lindsay Rumpt. She's got a couple of quick announcements, and then we'll dig into your questions.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Jennifer, for that introduction. Thanks to our speakers. I really enjoyed that. Thought those were all really good viewpoints across the board. Just wanted to get a few announcements in. If you are an LPC member, you probably got, or you should have gotten an email this morning with a few announcements for LPC. And just a few reminders there. Registration for Ag Media Summit just opened yesterday. We are going to be in person in Kansas City the first week of August. Those dates are July 31st through August 4th with standard AMS schedule. The famous welcome party will be Sunday night, and then we'll have breakout sessions on Monday and Tuesday. So I would encourage you to go to agmediasummit.com, check out the schedule, and get registered. Registration rates will jump up after June 30th. So you still obviously got some time to get in before those rates increase, but that registration did open yesterday with the schedule posted at agmediasummit.com. Other thing I just wanted to mention is that the deadline for the LPC Awards contest closes on Monday, May 3rd. I see lots of faces, some of our speakers even who have entered that contest in the past, and it's a really good way not only to earn some hardware for your wall, but just to get some industry recognition for all the good work that you've done in the previous year. So it would be the 2020 year, and you do have to be an LPC member to enter. So that contest is open. There's details about that on livestockpublications.com. I'll put some links in the chat here in a minute. And one big thing I wanted to highlight is LPC just opened a new membership type for freelancers and contractors. So for those of you that are on the webinar today, that you are a one-man band and you work in livestock media, you could be a photographer, designer, writer, you name it. Just as long as you're in the livestock media field, we do have a full membership at a very discounted rate that is now open at $100. So if you jump quick, you could join as a freelance contractor member and get in on this year's awards contest. Those awards will be presented at Ag Media Summit in Kansas City this summer. If you can't come to AMS, we'll ship them to you, but always nice to be able to get some industry recognition and accept those awards in front of your peers in person, which is exciting after the year that we have had. But like I said, I'll drop some links in the chat window, just a few announcements from LPC. And thanks again to Novel Designs, our sponsor, Jennifer and Angie, who head up the copying collaboration, and today's speakers.
Thanks, Lindsay. All right, so we have one question. I hope we get a few more rolling in, but I think it's a really good one to start us off. Thanks, Robin. Have any of the speakers had any luck with paid advertising specifically geared towards livestock producers?
I guess I can go. I think paid advertising, I think it is, you don't necessarily have to do it. If you get a post that people like and it's already taking off, I don't think you need it. But I also think that the social media giants kind of figured out what people were doing. And so if you could tell, like a few years ago, I think it is that posts kind of died down. And I think it's because they stopped showing them because they realized that people were getting the free promotion. So sometimes it is necessary to do the paid post. I don't think you need it on all of them. Like I said, like the majority of our posts now, we don't do the paid ones, but I do think if it's something you want to get across and you know it's good and it's not doing anything, I think the paid approach might be a good one just because I think they want you to do that.
Yeah, and I think we use paid advertising on social sparingly, but we use it specifically to target certain regions. That's what we kind of got the most use out of. So if we have a post a product that we want to push in Texas or want to push in the Midwest, then we can target those posts specifically for those regions, and that's where we have seen really good luck. We've also had pretty good luck of if there's a post that we really want to promote really heavily, that's already kind of getting some traction, we can throw a few advertising dollars at it and it'll just really explode. So we don't do it a ton, but we definitely do it on those important products and the important things that we're trying to get out there.
Yeah, so we'll do it. We'll use it sparingly at Sunglo. I mean, we'll do it like if we have a new product that we've just come out with, or or we've done like a refresh or a rebrand to a specific product, and we really need to get it out there. The biggest struggle that we have is our product. We're a national brand, but not every region carries all of our products. So we have to be pretty specific and kind of careful as to how we promote our products, because we're not actually the ones selling them. It's the dealers that's selling our products. So we have to kind of watch that a little bit. I will say in my other business that I'm involved in, used livestock equipment, we do a lot of online auctions. And so we'll boost a post. We'll spend $100 every auction and boost the post that goes along with that auction. And so we'll target, the way that we do that is we target the people that already like our page, and then their friends, with the theory that their friends likely like the same kind of things that they do. And we've had a lot of success doing that. So I think if you have a specific product or a specific thing that you're trying to engage with, that it can really work. I will definitely agree with what Lisa said, that, I can tell you for a fact that, a couple of years ago, when we would spend that same dollar, we were getting double, if not even triple, the engagement that we get now for that same dollar. So, which I understand why that is, but at the same time, it's not quite as effective as it used to be with that same budget. But I think it can be effective on things, but I don't think it's an absolute have to, if you will.
So Lisa mentioned timing of social media posts being critical to success. And Susan asked, what times of the day are you seeing the most engagement, and what times have been the worst? And she would love everybody to chime in if you could.
I think the timing is really specific to whatever it is you're posting, honestly, and it's probably unique to everybody. So a lot of times you can think people are working or at school during the day, so the morning's probably a good time, the evening's probably a good time. However, there's always exceptions to the rules. Like if we're covering a show and we're at the American Royal or at the National Western Stock Show and a champion's just selected, well, people aren't going to want to wait till 8 o'clock that night to figure out who won the show. And probably Luke knows that with the polls and posting show results. They want to know it right that second. So it depends on what you're posting and the time of the day, because in that instance, the middle of the day or whenever the champion's selected, it's more as like being the first person to report on it. The other ones are just when people are in front of the screen.
Yeah, and I think that, it's so true. I think for us with social media, Instagram, Facebook and stuff, it's so really confusing because the times that you would think are really great are not. And the ones that, randomly our Monday mornings are really great for traction, which would be the last time I would think to post an ad. But like our Pulse is very different. And like Lisa kind of touched on, and the Pulse is our biggest social media platform. It's where we get the most reach. And so we target things specifically around, again, like Lisa said, those big moments at stock shows. It's people, the champion steer, the Supreme Heifer is selected, and immediately they're on the Pulse. And so we try to target those. The things that are the most important for us go right after our champion is selected. And so I think, like Lisa said again, it's just what works best for your company.
Yeah, so I'll kind of echo some of those same thoughts. I will say that, so when we've done our Facebook Live stuff, that I'm trying to put myself, like often like when we post Facebook Live, either like leading up to trying to generate some hype around it or the live itself, I'm trying to put myself in the position of a person would want to watch it. Maybe not the three of us on this, work a normal day job, but most people that are wanting to engage in something like that are likely working at a 9 to 5-ish. And they're going to sit down and, eat dinner when they get home. And then come 7:30, 8 o'clock, they're probably winding down a little bit. And so for us, we've found way better traction on our Facebook Lives, at like 7:30, even 8 o'clock at night, when people have some time to actually be able to tune in. I can guarantee you that we would not get the same traffic on a Tuesday at noon. There's just no way that we're going to do that. I think I've seen other feed companies do that, and that's their prerogative, and that's fine. But it makes no sense to me that you would go through all that time and all that effort to post something when you realize that most of your clients aren't even going to be able to see it. And yes, you can say, yes, it's recorded and you can go back and watch it, but there's nothing like just having, the live itself in terms of the amount of traction that you get from it. So I would say gear it towards, I would say it depends, but also be thinking through, if you're that consumer as well, when would you like to see it too?
So Nathan, while we've got you on, Rachel asked, will you speak to using the stories feature on Instagram? And I know that I always enjoy reading Sunglo's stories, and that always pops up right away in my feed. So what helps you be successful using that feature?
Yep. So we use that in a lot of different ways. Like I will totally steal from, and when I say steal, I mean share, other industry, we'll pull stuff from Showtimes, we'll pull stuff from Sullivan's, we'll pull stuff from NJSA, NSR, other, industry leading folks that might have announcements that might say, hey, the deadline to check in, the deadline for X show is 3 days away. Well, we'll share that. I mean, that's important to our customer and our customer base. But we've also used stories a couple different ways. We've done some Instagram takeover stuff, like let's say we're at a show and people are tired of seeing, just the normal thing on Instagram. Well, we might, have one of our good customers, a good young person that we trust with our social media, go around and kind of get a feel for what's going on at that specific show. That's been pretty easy and been pretty fun to do. But we'll also do, there's a lot of times we'll do like an Ask Us Anything type deal on there. And we get really great traction from that. So we'll go on there and we'll say, just ask us anything about, feeding pigs or feeding cattle or feeding whatever, or what are you most looking forward to this summer? Or what questions do you have about, XYZ? And then we'll repost those answers. And so we've had a lot of really good traction with that. So again, it just takes a little bit of time. That's really what social media, that's the biggest burden to social media really, is just finding the time and making the time to make it a priority.
Luke or Lisa, how are you using stories?
Yeah, I think the stories, it's just another way for exposure, no matter what it is. If it's your own post and you just reshare it to your story, or on Nathan said, sharing other deals, or we'll have a lot of kids or people that maybe their calf was selected at a show or they have a Showtimes banner. So we go ahead and share their post through it. But I think the number one deal, like I mentioned in my presentation, that the worst thing about online deals is it's so easy to get lost. Like once it's there, it's gone. I think Nathan mentioned it in his presentation as well. And so the stories is just another way for people to see it. It's kind of like the more exposure you have, the more chances you have of somebody seeing it. So I think stories are a great way to do that. It's kind of a double down on what your post already was.
Yeah, and just to mimic that, I mean, we'll use it as a support to our post or series of posts, whatever we have specifically. We'll use a story to do that. And like they said too, it's a really awesome for interacting and creating, again, like I said, that connection. Somebody will tag us on Instagram and we'll throw their, working in the barn on our Instagram, and so, or on our stories. And so, I think it's a fairly new feature. I mean, within the last couple of years. And so we're always trying to expand on it and stuff, but just to mimic what they said, it's just a more reach, more ways for people to see it.
Now, we did have a question about Snapchat also come in. Are you guys using Snapchat? Any thoughts or suggestions on how to use it to promote your brand?
Yeah, absolutely. We use Snapchat. There's so many different deals you can do, from when we're printing the magazine at a printer and we do a walkthrough of the magazine going off the presses, to if you're at a show, or there's the Snapchat filters that always seem to get a lot of exposure, especially if it's at an event that you're not there, or it's a big one that's just going to have a lot of your customers or brand market there. And for us, it works out really good because that also gives more exposure to our advertisers in the magazines, the more way we can use things like that. But I think the coolest deal is like Snapchat, or you see Facebook, Instagram. I know some people do TikTok and Twitter and all of those. I think it's cool because every different social media platform kind of hits a different audience. Like Instagram seems to be not so much nowadays because people are crossing over, but there's a lot more younger kids. It seems like there's a lot more activity on Instagram because I think it is a younger audience. But I think what's important when you're crossing over and using things like Snapchat or TikTok or different things like that is you want to hit those markets if it's a younger person, if it's an older person, if it's a certain demographic, but you also don't want to lose who you are as a brand. Like if everybody's out there doing really silly, stupid videos, I think they're fine, but you don't also want to water down the credibility of your brand by, you can have fun and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to go and act like you're 15 either, I think. And so, or maybe that's just me getting old. I don't know.
No, I will not be doing anything on TikTok. I can dang sure tell you that right now.
I tried one with Lori.
I'll say, just to kind of echo some of your same points about Snapchat. We honestly don't use Snapchat a ton. We will use, Showtimes will build a filter for us. We've done a lot of that, and we've tried to do it differently to where it's, we might be like promoting an actual product with a Snapchat filter at a certain show, or if there's a tagline that we're running with at the time, we'll promote that at the show too. So I'm not going to say that we've got a great Snapchat presence. I mean, it's been, for us, it's been more about the filters and again, just trying to draw more, just trying to draw more eyeballs and getting a little more interaction. We've actually used some call to action stuff with Sullivan's. I mean, they probably don't even know that we've done this, but if like at World Pork Expo a couple years ago, we launched a new product. And so we said in our Snapchat filter that, this product is available at Sullivan Supply, to purchase. And so when people were scrolling on Snapchat into different filters, they would have seen that. And so, yeah, so it's kind of works. I think it can work. Again, it's just, you have to be careful on how much clutter is it actually adding, and is it actually bringing you some value? Because it does cost. I mean, it's not a free, it's not a free feature. And I think with some of the other features on social media, like, Instagram, you can do so much, so many neat things for very little investment. And not the investment on Snapchat's bad, but everybody's got a budget and has to stick to it. So I understand that too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Snapchat, I would say that that's probably the one platform that we probably, as time has went on, we've put on the back burner, just because I think, initially we had one and it was great, and it just seemed like it was a lot of effort, and it was something we constantly had to do every single day to really matter. And then it was like, are we really getting that reach? Are we really getting the reach that can be turned around and used for sales? I mean, I don't know. I think it's such a demographics thing. It's these young kids on Snapchat that are using it primarily. I mean, I use it every day, but I don't know. I think that like they said, the filters are really awesome when they're cost effective. They can be really expensive, but then they can also get crazy reach if it's the right time. And so, those are still cool things to do. And I know you can start paid advertisement on Snapchat, which I think is potentially a place we would try to look into, just because there are tons of users, and if you could guarantee that they're going to see your content. But yeah, it's one that we are put on the back burner. We're probably even trying to, moving forward, put TikTok ahead of Snapchat. I curse saying that, but it might be happening. But yeah.
Great. So I apologize. I know we didn't get to all the questions, but I have tried, and I kind of went past the 10:45, but I always do try to let everybody get off, because I know there's more meetings and things going, and I want people to feel like I will respect that. So that being said, if you guys want to move to the chat and share any last minute thoughts there on those extra questions, feel free. But we'll keep it open a little bit longer in the chat. But thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. Know you're all super busy. But it's fun to hear your thought process and to get some of the ideas that you have proven time and time again make a difference and work. So with that, thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next one, May 19th, with Marlene Ike.